What a college baseball game, first of all. One-run game. You kind of knew when we went to call it what you want. Rubber match, game 7. If it's close, it could go either way. Sam Houston State earned the right to win that game. They played great defense. Obviously, everybody they pitched, I think pitched yesterday. Phenomenal that you can do that. In the big scheme of things for us, we were playing today to win the whole thing, not just to win today. And we were in a great spot having Davis Martin based on him pitching on Friday and the rain delay and all those things. I thought Davis was outstanding. Really thought he got in rhythm in the third and fourth. Really thought he was really good. Looked like his old self. Matt Deggs does a great job over there. Thought the kids played really hard. It reminded me quite a bit of last week, really, in the Big 12 tournament. Just kids just going, towing the line to try to survive. And their kids going out and pitching like that on zero rest, really, is really phenomenal. They executed pitches, and a lot of times you can do that. And those will be moments those kids will never forget in their life. Obviously, probably the biggest win in their program's history, I would say. As far as our guys, we love every one of them. We appreciate every one of them. I think the effort was there. Execution, obviously, was not there. And that's really what the game of baseball comes down to. I mean, it's kind of, to me, a lot of, you can say we had a great year, but I can tell you right now, we're gonna have to execute better, whether that's pitching, playing defense, or offensively. But I don't want to take anything away from Sam Houston. Again, the kids they pitched, I thought early, third baseman took a run off the board. I thought the second baseman took a single away, almost turned a double play on it, and that's off the top of my head. Rojas, a kid that started out up in Stillwater, he's been a great player since he's been there. And, again, it's unfortunate that when you go to Game 7 or rubber match, that's kind of the way. But sometimes the ball doesn't bounce your way, and or maybe you don't execute as well as you'd like to.
Okay, we'll take questions for the student. Microphone is to your left.
Hunter Orlando, 2-1-1 losses, but you all finished 5 of 30 at with runners in scoring position the last 2 days. What wasn't clicking when y'all had guys in scoring position this weekend?
It's a game of baseball, We've played it all our lives, and I think at this point it kind of caught up to us. But, like I said, it's a game of baseball, and all you can do is keep playing.
Hey, Jerry, what you doing? Heading back?
Next question, front.
Hunter, can you talk a little bit about you guys' defense the last 2 days? I think you had 2 errors both games, and in one-run games that seems pretty costly.
We have a really good defense. We've had a really good defense all year, and it's just one of those things that just, like Orlando said, it's baseball, and it just didn't go our way the past 2 days, and obviously that'll haunt us right now, and just gotta keep your heads up. Just Sam Houston played good baseball, and we just didn't execute when we needed to.
Next question.
Hunter, you got a lot done in your career here at Tech, and this being, the last time that you'll play here, just could you reflect on just the last couple of years and just, how much success you got to have while you were here?
It's been a blessing. I thank Coach Tadlock and the staff for allowing me to play baseball at the highest level, and especially being able to compete and go to Omaha. And, it's just being a senior, it's just seeing all these young guys, and I have no doubt in my mind that Coach Tadlock will get these guys back to Omaha, and the young pups, they're ready to go already. So it's been a blessing.
Two more questions for the students.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Orlando, I know you guys, as Coach Tadlock had said, had goals to be able to get to the College World Series, but I know it's just been a couple minutes to be able to kind of take it all in, but looking at the season as a whole, just what you kind of look at it, overview of how it wrapped up.
To be honest, I think we underachieved, you know. We wanted to do big things. We won a Big 12 championship. That was one of our many goals, but at the end of the day, we wanted to do something pretty big for the city, for the school, you know, for Kirby. He does a lot for us, and I mean, we just didn't execute. And I think as a shortstop, you got to be able to hold it down. Unfortunately, I didn't. You know, I take responsibility for it, and we had chances to bounce back. We didn't, but it's part of the game, and keep moving.
Last question in front right.
Orlando or Hunter, either you can answer this, but Coach Tadlock mentioned their pitching, how they threw the same guys they threw yesterday for the most part. But did it make it more? Does it make it more difficult to face 5 or 6 different pitchers in one game?
I mean, obviously, facing a new arm almost every single at bat. I mean, yes, that's pretty difficult. But then again, we're college hitters for a reason. You know, we should. You know, they threw a lot this past weekend, so we should have been able to, you know, get into good counts and make good, you know, good swings on pitches. And you know, we hit some balls hard. You know, just went right to people, and unfortunately the ball just didn't roll our way, and that's just part of the game.
Gentlemen, thank you. Okay, we'll take questions for Coach Tadlock.
Coach, I know Josh Young, that play sliding into third obviously was a really tough one for you guys as far as that tie and run down there. I mean, what was the explanation on the call? I know it looked like maybe the arm was lifted or he slid past the bag. What did you hear from the umpire?
Well, the argument was that he pushed him off the bag. You guys would know better. You know, we see that quite a bit. As far as oversliding on turf, you see it everywhere we go. You know, as far as, I mean, we still had 2 at-bats left in the game, 1-run game. It didn't affect the outcome. We still had 6 outs to go. And really, I probably wouldn't even mention it. I know it was a big play at the time. At the same time, we did hold the door and still had 6 outs. And so I thought the guys you're talking about did a great job. They were all, you know, outstanding throughout the weekend. And you'll never find us. I mean, we'll never blame it on. We just don't go there. I mean, we had pitches to hit, plays to make, execution, and that's really what it's about. I mean, it's you know, in baseball you have opportunity to score and do those things. So I don't know that it's even something we should talk about at this point.
All right, Coach. Like I said, with the runners in scoring position, and Orlando has 3 errors after having 4 errors in his first 60 games. What wasn't clicking with this team? It just seemed like they were very uncharacteristic of what we saw the first 60 or 65 games this season.
Well, you first of all, you had northeast wind today. If you can go back, first time Cooper got Tanner out, you know, you kind of have Hargrove behind him to protect him. And I think he lines out to the warning track. There's a lot of days in Lubbock, Texas, that ball's out of the ballpark. And that's just really things you can't control. He did everything he could, squared up, and ball was caught. But most days, you guys agree with me, the ball usually goes out of the ballpark. And I really thought their guys did a good job. They didn't give in. They make some really good plays, too. I mean, you go through stretches like that. I mean, good offenses find a way to score when you don't hit. I mean, you have to be able to do that, and we've been able to do that. And today just wasn't our day from that standpoint.
Coach, you had Ryan coming up. He was hitless. You put the hit and run on. How big was that just for him to get that spot up and put runners on the corners for y'all kind of late in the game there? Were you trying to get him going, or I guess what was kind of the thought process behind it?
Just really felt like it was a good spot to kind of get him going. And, yeah, it was a breaking ball, still 2-0. And, you know, the guy's trying to throw a strike, and we didn't bunt. And you got one out, and you got to get him around there. And fortunate it worked out at that time. And you know, you do what the game tells you. That's what the game's telling you to do at that point. And game was telling you to safety after that, and wouldn't have it any other way. Brian's a great bunter and kind of going through the inning now, if you can't tell. And we'd like to be able to execute and put a go-ahead run on second base. And I don't know if you guys knew this. I mean, they brought a new first baseman in about halfway through the game, and really when they brought him in, it's kind of like, okay, we're going to see if he can handle this. And it'd been nice to see if he could have, because the one play he had over there, there's a little unsureness. If that's a word.
Coach, I think you guys played Sam Houston 3 times last year and beat them all 3 times. Is there anything that you can point to specifically that they seem to have improved upon to win the regional?
It'd be interesting to me just in this situation, the psychology of it, you know, where guys' minds, you know, they're definitely the underdog based on what everybody thinks. And the psychology of them kind of having a rally mode and also being in the loser's bracket from Saturday on and kind of getting in that rally mode going. And last night was a big game. I mean, the runs they scored in the 8th were big runs. And, you know, anytime you get in a situation that we were in yesterday, you want to try to get it done that day. And it's unfortunate we didn't get that. And as far as what you said, I mean, it's a one-run baseball game. And, again, you could go back, you could look at elements, you could look at all kinds of things and probably figure out they probably had some of the same stuff, though, right? Probably had some hard hit balls. And today they earned the right to win a one-run baseball game. They played good defense, played above average defense, and so they earned the right to win today.
Middle.
Coach, how do you feel like you know, Sam Houston early in the game you guys had a lot of hardly hit balls that, as you alluded to, they were playing good defense, taking away some runs. And then after you got in the lead, they were able to take it back, you know, get a bloop, get an error. And then it seemed like you guys were still able offensively to sustain that and not let that phase you too much. How do you feel like the guys handled those circumstances?
The guys have done a pretty good job for the most part throughout the year to keep playing. I mean, you got to play 9 innings, and really from early on you felt like we were going to be able to get to them. Really did. I mean, I felt like it was going to be close, but early on, you know, when they went to Mills and Cooper early, you're like, okay, we're going to be able to string some hits together and get some runs. And we had it one time where we had the 3-run inning and just couldn't get it done after that. So their guys executed pitches, did a good job, played good defense. And they did a good job too. And I mean, the guy's throwing whatever he was throwing, the little left-hander, you know, and they're playing dead pull on every guy. I mean, you think about it, you know, it's really, it's just good baseball to do all that, and thought they did a good job with that.
Let's take 2 more questions in the back.
Coach, now that the season's over, after a Big 12 championship and hosting a regional seed, how would you describe this season as a success or as a failure?
Well, we wanted to play in Omaha. We wanted to play for the whole thing. And so to answer that question, I mean, there's nobody in that locker room that was happy. And so to answer your question, I think we had the guys on the field. Now, again, you got to – usually to win a regional, you got to put together some good starts. That's where we thought we were in really good shape with Davis going today, even though you had some other options as far as that goes. To answer the question, we're not happy. Might sound weird, win 45 games and not be happy and say it's not a success, but I would say that's where we are right now.
Last question.
Reflect on the careers of Hunter and Ryan and Colton and Anthony and what those guys have meant to this program as you guys have really built it up the last couple of years?
Yeah, I really hadn't let my mind go there yet. Those guys have been really good academically, really good in the classroom, really good, just off the field representing our program. Probably not going to get. I mean, those 4 guys have competed, they've led. And you start talking about Anthony Lyons. I think he got to go to Omaha twice, and just a great teammate. And I'm sure all those guys, Hargrove is going to play a little bit, I'm sure, after this year. And Colton did a great job this year, just in the dugout. It's not very often you see a guy that doesn't play that's a great teammate. Just a really good job with all that stuff. And who am I forgetting there? Yeah, and Ryan Long, obviously, he's a guy who went to Omaha twice also. And, and transitioned to the outfield this year and became a really good outfielder. He's a baseball player, can go in the infield and play. And those guys have been really good for our program. I mean, every program needs those guys that stay around for 4 years. And we had that last year. We really benefited from the guys that stuck around their senior year last year and start talking about all the guys that stayed. And so I don't think you go win 45 games without those guys, even though maybe they weren't everyday guys. I mean, Colton, I think one of the biggest weekends of the year was the weekend Colton caught. I mean, because we were down to 1 catcher, literally. And it's a big turning point from our standpoint because we were short that weekend, had a big part in us being a national seed, us being able to host a regional. And so we love those guys. It's not the end. I mean, we'll be here for those guys, and they'll be there for us for a long time, and as long as we're still kicking.
Coach,